honoree of the morning, y'all. This is the community honoree, Avance'S community honoree. I would like to bring to the stage James and Julia Rizard to help celebrate their mother, Recipient. Well, I think that I can agree it's really hard to talk about your mom. It's a short period of time. Asking a child to articulate the impact their mothers have on their life in less than 5 minutes is kind of like asking the late Stephen Hawking to summarize particle physics and understand words, but I'll do my best. So, numerous maxims come to mind when reflecting on my mother's principled lessons and earnest teachings over the years. Constant engagement in the pursuit of knowledge, sincere dedication to what I believe in, perseverance in the face of adversity or new challenges. However, I believe the most fundamentally important and instrumental in shaping my character can be described in a single word: empathy. Empathy is an innate human emotion, yet like any other natural emotion, such as love, I believe a strong sense of empathy requires nurturing and encouragement to truly flourish in a person. My mother consistently nurtured our natural empathetic response as children. Whether that took shape in the form we're most familiar with, empathy for dear friends or family during times of hardship or heartache, or as it applied to the intellectual pursuit of empathy for entirely different worldviews, originating from cultures geographically or even temporally different from our own. Empathy for another's point of view has always been foundational to how we were taught to approach the world at large. My mother's cultivation of this innate human trait to care for, protect, and encourage others in our daily lives as young children has solidified into one of my core beliefs as an adult. Empathetic curiosity is the key to success in any human endeavor. By success, I don't mean merely personal accolades or financial gain or career advancement, although I believe those can be encompassed by the broader definition I envision, but rather success in the sense that connections forged through a desire to understand and a willingness to include enhance our individual integrity and fortify our shared global culture and humanity. My mom has taught me that empathy lies at the root of intellectual discovery, philanthropy, and the desire to teach and uplift. I am eternally grateful for the empathetic support I've consistently received from my mom as I've navigated my own life path, and I hope with all of my heart that I've imparted even a fraction of that empathetic understanding on the people that I've encountered along the way. I love you, Mom. Congratulations. It's a title you've had for 42 years running, so.
Good afternoon. I am so proud to have the opportunity to speak about my mom today. Thank you to Avance'S for creating this space and for your commitment to community and families. To try to meet this moment, which I agree is pretty tough, I wanted to share about how a decision my mom made before I was born has impacted me now as a mom myself of a 6-year-old and an almost 2-year-old. And that is my mother's purposeful infusion of leadership, community, and motherhood. There was rarely a time when my brother and I were not at the San Antonio Light, or later the Whitney Museum, or the History Center, a museum my mom led and transformed, of course, in Iowa as children. I cannot count how many events and dinners, exhibit openings that my brother and I went to in our very adorable late 80s, early 90s fashion. It was a default that we were included, that we were present, that we were able to witness our mother in her professional life, to see her as a leader, as a guide, a manager, and a teacher. Or whatever you would call simultaneously telling your 8-year-old daughter, no, you cannot take 4 giant sprinkle cookies from the buffet, while also introducing said daughter to a board of directors for the Whitney Museum, whatever that's. As a child, I thought that this was a necessity for my mom and dad, right? Children go with their parents everywhere. However, as a mother who now knows what it takes to get 2 small children into anything other than a onesie in a car to an event on time, I know this was a deliberate choice that my mom made and a really wonderful gift that my mom gave to us. I am sure many moms in the audience have heard the quote from A.B. Westervelt, "We expect women to work like they don't have children and raise children like they don't work." And yes, mom guilt does pop up for me, but my mother's pursuit of expanding the definition of family life has allowed me in many ways to forego those expectations, to take pride in showing my children my work, to share openly the joys and tribulations of raising children with my work family, to walk into many rooms like this one and know how many sprinkle cookies I can take. This pursuit of my mother's is actually captured perfectly by my mom's own words in an article that she wrote in the April 1985 issue of the Texas Humanist. I was born, by the way, April 15th of 1985. So I'll let you do the math. Definitely dual labor on that, Mom. She said, yes, parents must adapt and sacrifice, but so must the workplace, so must our employers, so must our corporate structures, our factories, community services, and preschool. Wouldn't it be wonderful if it was a widely held belief that children and parents can share each other's environments, not only at home after hours, but intermittently, flexibly, and meaningfully? The dwelling place, after all, can be anywhere. Well said, Mom. Thank you, Mom, for always sharing your environment and your wisdom and your leadership with us. I can safely say that James and I both have always felt that home, or our dwelling place, is wherever you are. Love you all.
James, Julia, thank you so much. One more time, y'all race to the stage, please. One more round.
Thank you all. Thank you for being here, of course, to support Avance'S for many, many years. First, thank you, James and Julia, for your words, but more for who you both are that you've revealed as transformational both leaders. You didn't talk about yourself, but you're both so impressive. James, thank you for taking a stand for water for this year. Your company, Harvest Rain, should be providing rainwater for every home and business. And with your advocacy in the Texas State Legislature, it will happen eventually, especially with your calm and determined debate prowess. I especially love the fact that you're going to bump into Julia in the state capitol hallways as Julia advocates for public education. Julia, thank you for moving mountains to ensure that all Texas children have the best education possible. Your keen articulation, data-driven, and passionate will at some point make a difference in how we see our children through the lens of the future. I'm so proud that you're both paving the way for that world. The character of empathy, passion, and tenacity that James and Julia exemplify, thank you for giving me credit for that, but you're inspiring to me and your dad, my husband of 44 years, Hollis Brazar. We often sit on our tiny screaming porch at night and are awestruck by our little children, fighting the good fight, but also leaning on our family for love and reassurance. I appreciate what you said about me as a mother, but I want everybody here to know that it was not me who threw the baseballs countless hours in our backyard to both James and Julia, or who was the coach for the Little League games. Nor was I the one who hauled James' debate team across Iowa and everywhere else. And Julia's very large heart for competitions and concerts. for your well-deserved honor as an Avance'S graduate. When I met you at lunch recently, I was immediately taken, as we all are, all of you, with your enthusiasm for teaching children, especially teaching children scientific principles, which you're so wonderful and articulate about, as well as your leadership accomplishments and your goals. A lot of goals, so watch out. No wonder your children are so wonderful. To all of you here, this Avance'S work means so much to me. I so believe in all of what you do and what you accomplish. Let me briefly share evidence that illustrates that I am not just being polite. Before I was in the museum world, mostly at the Local Museum, I was a journalist for 10 years. I wrote about women, children, culture, and politics in that order. This was in the early 1980s when I became a mother to my son James and looked around and realized I had no institutional support. The newspaper I worked for expected me to be back to work in 4 weeks, my entire vacation and sick leave, which means the children were not sick after that. I returned to work with a resignation letter instead. Fortunately, my editor was shorthanded on the midnight copyright desk and allowed me to come part-time to put the newspaper to bed after I put my baby to bed. My husband and I handed baby James over as we did alternating dating shifts. We didn't really see each other for about 15 years. There was no accredited child care at the time. I began to write about being a working mother at a confusing time when women entered the workplace with no support. I know many of you remember those days. Fast forward to the mid-1980s when I advocated for mothers in the workplace as a newspaper columnist. I refused to utter the word mommy wars, if you remember this. Mommy's at home, mommy's at work. But I will say this now, it wasn't the mothers who were at war with each other. It was that society was completely confused about mothers and working. I wrote about the lack of good child care, flexible time, mothers in poverty, desperate mothers and fathers, and children placed in uneven environments. I also wrote about a great program, Avance'S, with its inspiring leader, Gloria Rodriguez. I wrote about Gloria Rodriguez, helping those families who needed help the most. I wrote about children entering their elementary schools throughout San Antonio at this time under metal detectors in a search for weapons. This was a rough time in the 80s in San Antonio. My husband and I started preschool in our house with another couple, but one day, when just our children were home, the child care worker left our house in the middle of the day. My courageous 5-year-old James and took his 2-year-old sister, Julia, to the next door neighbor who called me at work to come home. I was terrified and swiftly wrote about the incident as an example of the fragility of even the best laid plans for children. A fellow newspaper columnist came up to me and said, you know, you're compromising your promises to journalists. You're a one-topic writer, and people are just going to stop reading. You're creating a mother beat. I stared at him in shock and finally said, mother beat, I kind of like it. Okay, thank you. In the late 1980s, in my last year as a journalist at the San Antonio Light, we won a national award for writing an investigative series on children in crisis. One of the mothers I wrote about in the newspaper series, Children in Crisis, lived in Arizona, Apache Woods. About 40 years ago, almost 40 years ago, this young mom lived alone with her 3 tiny children and an infant in the ICU. It was really rough. She could not visit this baby because she was caring for her other little ones. She had no help and no support. Today, she would have Avance'S to be home at Avance'S Carmen P. Cortez Family Center across the street from Arizona Country Forest. So, I mean, what a change, what a radical change. I have the privilege of touring Avance'S preschool and parenting programs at the Carmen P. Cortez Family Center with the center's director, Georgette Chapa, and the amazing Avance'S team, including the great leader, Susan Thompson, who's here with us. So the curriculum there is highly sophisticated, infused with science, technology, engineering, and math, or STEM principles. and emotional intelligence methodologies. We alluded to all of this. The older children were engaged and focused. Similarly, the classrooms for parents, moms and dads, were organized to engender community and develop parenting skills, as you've heard. I had the privilege of meeting the mothers in the program the day I toured, and I was so moved by their enthusiasm and pride. We are Avancé mothers. In fact, so many Avancé professionals, including Princess Director Chalba, I'm sure she's here, introduce themselves as Avancé mothers. I am an Avancé mom, and today I am the director of, I am the teacher of, I am in some leadership position. Each also make sure you know their credentials. I have a BA in education and an MA in administration, and Alma has a second MA, and that is Durga. I congratulate all the Avancé mothers here today who know that mothership is leadership. My friends here today are transformational leaders and passionate mothers and grandmothers. Susan Miller, you have created Heaven on Earth in the honor of your sons, Bill and Charlie, with buildings and programs that inspire, serve, and save children throughout San Antonio. As a mother, you are strategic with building our place. Thank you on behalf of so many children. Transformational leadership. We did executive management for many years, from children's charities to the museum. Always time to share about our children in an ideal world, a mother is the friend of mothers, seeking advice and counsel. I want to acknowledge Jill Warrington, my friend of more than 2 years, who elevated me as a mother in developing our family into her church family. And, along with many other mothers, we also have a beloved. And at the same time, Jill has been a transformational leader all of her life, most notably at the Good Samaritan Center for many years. And of course, my dear friend Peggy Walker, who was celebrated here last year, gave an invitation, thank you, as a devout and devoted mother and grandmother. Her most glorious smiles emerged when she was talking about her daughter and grandsons. Peggy is also an outstanding community leader and philanthropist of children's charities, and of course the way which she recently led the transformation of. A mother is a colleague of mothers, and I'm so privileged to work alongside so many great mothers at the big museum. Many of them are right here, and I just love hearing about their children, their all guardians, of course. And as the CEO, the new CEO with me, Dirk Elkendorf, who's here, a devoted dad to amazing children. There are few better places, in fact, than the Waiting Museum to witness great moms and dads learning together in wonder. And it was a great privilege to be able to witness that, and still do. A mother is the mother of mothers. I have learned so much from my own mother now, 92. I was the eldest of 5 children, and I had witnessed her work. I always say, Mom, how did you do it? It's a lot of kids. And she once said, actually, as a Catholic mother, I had the fewest children on my birthday. But then she said, yeah, but for all those mothers and cousins, and they were all support system. In my case, as a mother, I watch children, and I think I only wish I was a fraction of how patient and wise Julia is as a mother to Leanne and her children. Thank you so much, Julia. You are amazing. Thank you also to their dad, George. She has the patience of a saint for all of us. I have hope for the future because of these little ones already so wise and earnest. The children at Avancé are so impressive and will no doubt be future leaders. What I love the most about Avancé, besides its extraordinary success over many years, is the creation of a place where mothers become dear friends to other mothers, to lean on and talk in celebratory times. I salute all of you at Avancé for the work you do. I thank those of